Okay, we're going to go ahead and open the common council meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call, please, Carol.
Steve Beardsley is absent. Isaac Chavez.
Present.
John Large.
Present.
Megan Sheets.
Present virtually.
Robert Stevens.
Present.
Clarence Worthen.
Present.
Eric Woods.
Present.
Okay, next we have the minutes from the March 11, 2024 regular meeting.
Move to accept the minutes as presented.
Second.
I'm sorry, who was that second?
Isaac.
Isaac. Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Isaac Chavez.
Aye.
John Large.
Aye.
Megan Sheets.
Aye.
Robert Stevens.
Aye.
Clarence Worthen.
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Okay, so this evening's meeting is going to be a little bit different than what's on the agenda. Is this the time that we have the? Yeah. Okay. So at this time, we're going to have the City Plan Commission recommendation. So Liz, I'll give that to you.
Good evening. I'm new to this. I'm sure as the year goes on, you'll get used to seeing me as I'm starting to serve in a planning capacity as far as services go in the newly annexed areas. And I've got two different recommendations to you tonight. I'm going to go through them kind of in the order that they were heard by city plan. So the first one, you should have gotten a packet of paperwork, and building services and I worked with Alicia to try to start to standardize this a little bit to make it easier to see what's happening and what's been sent to you. So this first one is a recommendation off of the City Plan Commission docket number CPC 2024-02. And wait, nope, I messed myself up. See, I'm starting on the right foot.
Right?
01, right, exactly. Said in order, and then I went, why do I have an 02? And so 01, and it's the application of Landworks Engineering and Good Oil. So this is the development commonly known as the Banderas Point Planned Unit Development that already existed under the Clinton County zoning previous to annexation. And all of the different layers of city government have been working together to try to kind of catch up those approvals to the same point as before annexation so that the development is able to continue without interruption. And the sequence of hearings tonight are kind of the last step in getting that done. So the City Plan Commission heard this, and in the case of a planned unit development, they're hearing both a zoning map and a matching ordinance that modifies the zoning ordinance and is unique to this exact development. So when you look at the packet that you've received, there's an ordinance in there which has been forwarded to you. And then there's a map that shows you how that PUD breaks down the land. And then there's actually a whole packet of paperwork that talks about the things unique to Banderas, from what happens internally between their uses to what their unified signage plan is, and a few definitions. For the sake of time, I'm not going to go through it in detail unless you guys have specific questions, other than to say that it is materially the same as what already was adopted and is still in existence on part of Banderas that wasn't annexed, that's adjacent to this. And the City Plan Commission, after hearing it, did send to the City Council a favorable recommendation on adopting this zoning ordinance amendment. And I'm happy to answer any questions, but I didn't want to go into the weeds unless you want me there.
So the next step by the council, if you don't have any questions, is you all will either adopt the amendment or you will reject the amendment or you will take no action. If you take no action and 90 days?
Yeah, 90 days.
90 days elapse, then this will automatically become an ordinance. If you take action and you adopt it, then the ordinance will be approved. And if you reject it, then it would go back to the City Plan Commission.
And there is a prepared ordinance included in that packet that should you so choose to adopt, you'll be able to sign. Alicia's already looked over that as well.
So what they're actually adopting is?
So they're adopting the amendment to the UDO for the PUD. So this would be adopting the plan unit development and the zoning map for that. And that's what's in that ordinance.
So both map and text. And there are some commitments that go with that, and I guess I should say for the record, I do have a signed copy of the commitment, signed and notarized, that authorizes me, should you accept this amendment, to record this on behalf of the city, and it allows you then to enforce those commitments should there be any issue in the future. And those commitments do include the 60-foot right-of-way going eastbound, so that the next area over, which is also annexed, when it's developed, there'll be an access there the city will be able to acquire and utilize, should that be how things work out. But I do have it signed, so I'll be able to record it first thing in the morning. If you act, if you don't act, then obviously I don't record it, so.
I understand, Liz, there was a portion of this property that needed to be voluntarily annexed.
That is correct, and we determined when we looked at that they could not request voluntary annexation until there was contiguous annexed land, which just happened on the 23rd. That area is in the next phase of development across Banderas, which will be the campground area. So Ben can confirm, but I believe they intend to apply for that once they get past these hearings, as they're finishing up their plan and their final engineering for that next phase of approvals, which will come through city plan in the normal way, not in an accelerated fashion. And this zoning district lays the groundwork and the regulation that lets them continue to develop consistently. The subdivision is already recorded, so since the subdivision is its own political entity, it comes across without having to be redone.
So what's the pleasure of the council this evening?
We need a motion, correct? I'll make a motion to accept the recommendation for CPC 2024-01.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Isaac Chavez.
Aye.
John Large.
Aye.
Megan Sheets.
Aye.
Robert Stevens.
Aye.
Clarence Worthen.
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Okay, now I see there's a place they'll need to sign then.
Yes.
Okay.
And do you have the original, did she have the original, or am I holding the original? Okay, I'm holding the original, so
Okay, yeah.
I'll give this to you for people to sign, and then usually, you tell me what's normal for you guys. Usually what I do is I leave the original, and once it's processed, then somebody gets me back, in my case, an original, but I assume in this case, I'd get a copy wherever you keep your originals
keep
is
our
where it would
original.
stay.
And Carol's office usually
That would be
handles
me.
that. Yep.
Perfect, amazing, I'll learn.
It's okay.
And I will record the commitments as soon as the recorder's office opens tomorrow, and then I'll make sure I also bring you a copy of the recorded commitments so that you have the instrument number and everything.
So, Alicia, may I ask, did the ordinance automatically is included with that recommendation?
Yes,
Okay.
so all they have to do, because it's part of the UDO, is they just approve that recommendation from the City Plan Commission, and that automatically approves the ordinance. So we don't have to go through the first reading, second reading, because the City Plan Commission has already had a public hearing on it and all of that good stuff.
Thank you.
Yes.
Are you ready for me to move to the
Yes.
second one?
Yes,
Or okay,
please. Yes.
sorry, I don't want to rush. And, all right, so the second decision of the City Plan Commission that is forwarded to City Council regards the remainder of the area that was annexed. And the annexation agreement, originally said, okay, you're going to keep agriculture, and keep things in similar districts. Since that time, the Unified Development Ordinance was adopted, which follows the standards of most jurisdictions. It says, okay, when things are annexed, they go to this default district, and no one can have any permits until the City Council decides what they want to do with this. And it requires the city plan to send a recommendation to City Council within 30 days. So the city plan has sent the recommendation up. And while there is a ban on any permits, I can't issue anything until City Council acts. I don't currently have anyone banging on my door, so I don't want to make it out to be, quite the same urgency as Banderas, but when they do, we'll be stuck until a decision's made. So I'm not going to go through again the entire staff report. I'll note that City city plan, upon hearing this, did issue a favorable recommendation on the maps. I am going to say a few words about what was sent to city council, but I'm not going to go through the whole thing in the interest of time. So, in general, what we tried to do is keep things as similar as possible, which is consistent with your agreements and what seemed to be the will of the council in general. So in particular of note is things that were zoned agriculturally, because your new Unified Development Ordinance does include agricultural as a zoning district. They're being placed in that district. And then everything else went to most similar. So agriculture to agriculture, light industrial to industrial, because there's only one industrial district for you, general business to general business, roadside business to roadside business, medium density residential, which is the county's general sewered lot district, went to B residential if it was in Jefferson's developed area where you have plats and houses. If it was big acreage or it was zoned R2, then it went to A residential. So residential stayed residential. There were just a couple spots, neighborhood business and agribusiness, where there was no corresponding district. So then we fell to defining most similar as a situation in which you did not make the use less legal, or take anything away from them. I would note that if something comes in that somehow got missed, you can change it, and you can do that by initiating it yourselves if you feel like something isn't right in the maps. But I would definitely advise getting some kind of maps in place so that people can move forward with development. Building services, and I went over this, the Plan Commission heard it in detail, and we believe we've got these districts as close as possible for what we could do between the options and the two ordinances. And we don't believe there's anybody that we've taken something that's in business or currently a house and made it something that's suddenly not having the same rights it did before. So if you've got questions, again, I'm happy to answer anything about specific areas, but I don't want to take up more time than you want me to.
Anybody have any questions, concerns for Liz?
I would move to accept the Plan Commission's recommendation on this issue.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Isaac Chavez,
Aye.
John Large,
Aye.
Megan Sheets, Robert Stevens,
Aye.
Aye.
Clarence Worthen,
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Okay, those two things
Perfect.
pass.
Would you mind passing that to Carol? And then, so the council knows, once I get these ordinances back, then I handle all the zoning maps for all of the area, all jurisdictions. And so right now, I've just kind of left it blank in the annexed area, but over the next couple of weeks, I'll draw in the new maps and make sure those go live so that everybody can see what it is, and it'll be publicly available on the same layer as your existing maps are. I just have to do some drawing. So I appreciate you allowing me to present to you, and I hope it was helpful.
Okay, thank you, Liz.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to go on to public comments, although we do have to recess this meeting at 7:30 for the City Plan Commission meeting because we've already advertised it. And then we'll come back, and if we haven't made it through all the comments or the ordinances, then we'll come back and take care of that. So the first one tonight on public comments is Mark Newhart. And we allow, once you're on here to speak, is a 3-minute time limit.
Thank you, Mayor Judy, council members, friends, and guests. I'm here to speak on Ordinance Code 155.133, in particular, paragraph H, political signs, number 3. In my travels and speaking with Judy and other people, Frankfort has this ordinance which is different from the state ordinance, even the county ordinance, as far as political signage being put up in yards. I know my counterpart, Jim Moyer, the Republican chair, I'm the Democratic chair, but we field phone calls each election period, and this one just seems to have gone on more to the extent. I am asking the city council to please look at this ordinance and to refer back to the state ordinance of 30 days before early voting or 60 days before election to allow signs to be put out in yards, billboards to be placed up. There's really no enforcement on this ordinance as it is now. I've spoke to Mayor Judy and Ed Russell, the ordinance officer, and even the building service people about it. So it's really an ordinance that has no teeth and an ordinance that is contrary, as I said, to state and even our own county ordinance. So I would like the city council to please take a look at it and rescind, modify that ordinance to put us along the lines with the state and county.
That is part of the UDO.
Yes, it is
So-
part of the UDO now.
So it
The
would
new
be
UDO.
by resolution?
So what you all would do is if you wanted to make a recommendation to the City Plan Commission, you can initiate it and have it sent to the City Plan Commission. And then the City Plan Commission can initiate an amendment then to the UDO, and then that would go through the process just like what we did a few minutes ago. So if you wanted to do that, then you could do that. And then the city plan would take a look at that.
I have nothing more then.
Okay,
Thank you
thank
for
you, Mark.
taking it on.
Thank you. Okay, next we have Esmeralda Cruz. Okay. Hi.
Good evening, Mayor Shades and City Council. We're back here tonight. We've been meeting with you since November of last year, coming in asking for a resolution in support of the driving privilege card. Tonight, I'm sure you probably can tell that we don't have as big of an audience as we typically do, and there's two main reasons for that. One of them is there was a date change for the meeting due to the eclipse yesterday, and the other one is because the committee has not had the opportunity to meet, and I know we're hoping that that meeting will take place later this month, but we also understand that there's a process. But I do want to go ahead and take the opportunity to just address you a little bit more on the driving privilege card. I realize that we've been talking about the driving privilege card, and there may be a question you are asking yourselves. The question may be, why are these immigrants in need of a driving privilege card in the first place? Why are they not documented? Why have they not followed the outlined process to have their paperwork in order? And these are common questions for a conversation like this. So I wanted to take an opportunity to highlight two main reasons as to why that may be. First, access, and second, wait time. The reality is that some people don't have access to our immigration system, period. To have access, you have to have the necessary family ties or employment connections, etc. Many of you on the City Council have probably been living in this great country full of wonderful opportunities for many generations. What you may not know is that the only countries that had legal access to this country's immigration system before 1965 were European countries and Canada. In 1965, President Johnson signed the Immigration and Nationality Act, eliminating race, creed, and nationality as the basis of admission to the U.S. 1965 was less than 60 years ago. That is how long other countries have had access to our immigration system. According to a report from the Pew Research Center, in 2019, the two largest admission categories for U.S. lawful residents were family-based visas with 69% and employment-based visas with 14%. In terms of family-based visas, some categories have a wait time of 20 years. 20 years wait time. This depends on the relationship, whether the petitioner is a lawful permanent resident or a U.S. citizen, and the country, among other factors. An immigration attorney once shared with me that if an average Joe in Mexico, someone without wealth and without an advanced degree, tried to apply for permanent residency in the United States without a petitioner while still living in Mexico, it would take them over 100 years to have access to our immigration system. I can share with you that the immigrants who are undocumented in our community and have been living here for years are not here undocumented because they are unwilling to file the paperwork or pay the legal fees. It is because they don't have access or because they are waiting. Finally, during the legislative breakfast in March, I asked Senator Buchanan if it was a common practice for city councils to pass resolutions on Senate bills to let their state legislators know where they stand on different issues, to which he replied yes.
Esmeralda, your time's up.
Thank you. We know you have no jurisdiction on immigration law, but what you do have is the opportunity to pass a resolution to support the driving privilege card. Thank you.
Thank you. And I do want to say real quickly that we do have a committee of, right now I have 10 people that was shown interest in it or want to be on it. So we're hoping to set up a meeting in the next couple of weeks, so it will be before our next meeting. Okay, thank you. Okay, next, Mike Nichols.
Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak. Mike Nichols, a Frankfurt resident. The other week, the mayor gave her State of the City address. State of our city is good. I was encouraged by her commitment to the people of Frankfurt. Frankfurt is her hometown, and she is proud and wants us all to be. This commitment to people of Frankfurt was echoed by all the department heads. Police Chief Scott Shoemaker has spoken before on the subject of a driving privilege card and how it would help his department do a better job for the people of Frankfurt. I believe the council has a unique opportunity to do something meaningful for all the people of Frankfurt. Passing a resolution in support of a driving privilege card, as stated in Senate Bill 138, would show the people of Frankfurt that we are all in this together, and it affects all of us as our community members. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, next we have Chris Salva.
I am here this evening on the same issue that Mr. Newhart is here on with the signage ordinance. I know that as elected officials, you all have been through the signage process. This is a pamphlet given to all candidates by the clerk's office when they file to run. This is the 2024 political signs and disclaimer requirement. On the back, there is a section that specifies about the yard signs. And it states, state law does not specify when yard signs may be placed. Instead, the decision is up to counties, cities, and towns. A political subdivision may not enforce an ordinance or regulation limiting the number of signs, number or size of signs during the period beginning 60 days before an election and ending the period beginning the 6th day after the election. The reason that I bring this up is giving that 60-day window, 30 days prior to the early voting, is we're giving our citizens access to time to meet with their candidates, time to ask questions and be involved. So with the state saying that their standard is 60 days, I would ask that the city mirror that or at least reflect the same requirements. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Ben, no?
I just signed in case I needed to speak on Banderas.
Oh, okay, so you're good. Okay. Like I said, as far as the comments, I do have 10 people interested in the committee for the driving cards, and we're hoping to meet, I think, John, you're part of it, Isaac, and other people have reached out to me. So we're going to have that probably in the next couple of weeks, maybe that last week of April. And then on the political signs, I believe you've told us, Alicia, what we can do as far as that. So I don't know exactly how you want to do that. If there's interest in doing that, I suppose you need to let city plan. Or do you want to have a committee, somebody look at it?
I say throw it back on city plan.
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
It's not a complicated.
Don,
Yes, ma'am.
did you hear that?
I just heard put it back on city plan, but I don't know what it is.
The sign ordinance, to have the city plan look at that, and then if they want to make changes. Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So now we should recess this meeting.
Okay, so is 7:26 okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we'll have to change places.
Okay, at 7:26, I'm going to go ahead and recess the council meeting, and then the city plan will meet. And then we'll come back to the council and finish up our business, so.
See you guys in a bit.
You get to stay up here, don't you?
Yeah, so the city plan commission members, if you can come up here, please.
Tighten the screen just a little bit more. How's it going? All right, how you doing?
Watch that step.
Old, right?
I thought this would be a separate meeting tonight. Is everything
Sure. Do I get a whisper sweet nothings? Do I get a whisper sweet
Just
nothings?
push it off the edge of the table.
You may.
I hope nobody hears me.
Do we have paperwork already? Do we have paperwork already?
But I could do all of them because I'm a mess today. There was a, they sent this via email. So I think there's some paperwork, but I don't know.
All right.
I know, he's on every committee, he just sits there all day.
Yeah, every other week, same spot.
Do you have copies of like the agenda for everybody? I do.
Oh, yeah.
Looky there. She's on top of it. Can you pass them out for me?
Is she, are you real busy at your other job?
Yeah. It's tax season, so.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so I've been working my butt
I'll
off.
wait till that clears down, 'cause I need to change my,
It will be over on Monday, so feel free to call after Monday.
will and stuff.
I printed everything, so I should be good, unless something's changed since it was emailed. Okay.
What do you think, Megan?
How you doing?
Okay. How's the
What'd you
weather?
need?
How's the weather?
It's very pleasant, not too hot yet at all. It's low 80s.
Oh, that's tough. How do you stand in that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. That sounds good. We have 2 minutes, and then we have to.
Hey, and Don, just talk to me.
I heard that he resigned from this commission. I just thought about that.
You guys gotta pull together.
Hey, Don. What's the status of, what's his name, Patchett? Greg.
Patchett.
Yeah, he's in show today, so I'm gonna ask the mayor to replace him.
He hasn't been here since, he got upset that night.
Hi, Megan.
Miranda.
Yeah, okay.
Fire department, didn't
That-
he? Greg, was he part of the fire department?
Slowing it down.
Electric.
We have 1 minute.
Yeah, it's a city position. So.
It'll be our
I
last.
don't know what he was so fucking revved up about.
Your point,
I
right?
don't know what he was so fucking revved
Yeah.
up
He
about.
claims his house,
It does.
you know, where his house is out
It
there.
was so
No, I don't.
He's in that 134 edition or whatever it is.
It was really cool.
It's gonna affect his recent
I wondered what all the hype was about, but
improvement.
then when I saw it, that was pretty cool.
I think one like that's not.
There's no basis for that yet.
I can see. Glad this isn't yesterday. You're missing the Boilermaker ball.
Now, some of those people on 3 or 4 houses there on Forest Drive might be able to make that argument for, you know, but, yeah.
If somebody puts a house as good as theirs behind it, and how they can, how that be negative, you know?
Are we ready to go?
Sir.
Hey, Megan,
Hi.
I'll call the Frankfurt City Plan Commission meeting to order. It is 7:30. We welcome everyone to our meeting. We're just going to go straight to the roll call, because, time is of consideration tonight.
Mike Nichols,
Here.
Larry Mosier,
There.
Megan Sheets,
Present virtually.
Isaac Chavez,
Present.
Joseph Bookwalter.
Here.
Mark Mills,
Here.
Greg Patchett.
Okay, the one item we have to take care of before the public hearing is the minutes of our, I believe, March 27th meeting. Has everyone got a copy of that? And if so, any corrections? And if not, could we have a motion on the minutes?
A motion to accept minutes from March 27th.
I'll second it.
Okay, with the motion and the second, roll call vote, please.
Mike Nichols,
Aye.
Larry Mosier,
Aye.
Megan Sheets,
Aye.
Isaac Chavez,
Aye.
Joseph Bookwalter,
Aye.
Mark Mills.
Aye. Okay, we have a public hearing. It's filed by Landworks Engineering LLC, docket CPC 2024-03, a secondary development plan for Phase 1 of the Banderas Point subdivision. I'll turn it over to staff to explain.
Mr. President, on the request of Mayor Sheets asking that Liz stay in the lead for this Banderas project, I'm yielding my talk time to Miss Liz so that she can direct you towards the development plan for Phase 1 of the Banderas project.
Good evening. So Mark and I had a brief conversation about this, but planned unit developments are a little bit different in that they combine a lot of your phases of approvals together. So when you heard the planned unit development and when that went through city council, that ordinance included an initial development plan that laid out general frameworks for what the development was going to have. And then what you're hearing tonight is the details that follow both that framework and the standards of the ordinance that were not changed by Banderas's additional text amendments. And this is specifically for what in their plans would be Phase 1 and Phase 2, but it's the convenience store and gas station, and then the event center areas is more commonly what they would be called. So normally in your zoning ordinance, a secondary development plan would be done administratively, but because this is a PUD, Article 6 does not allow staff to administratively review a planned unit development, and for good reason, because you're talking about a much more comprehensive development that should have more eyes on it, where you've bought into and city council has bought into a general concept, and now you're seeing through the specific implementation of it. So I'm going to go through the staff report. This particular property is zoned planned unit development. And then to the north, you've actually now got roadside business. To the east is planned unit development, also Banderas Point. South is planned unit development. And west is a combination of roadside business and agricultural. So this particular site, I think you're all familiar with at this point. It's the southeast quadrant of the I-65 West State Road 28 interchange. And we talked a little bit about the development plans, but there's roughly 10.8 acres, which is for the gas station and the convenience store. And there's roughly 17.3 acres for the construction of an event center. And the convenience store is in the broad business district of the planned unit development. The event center is in the agritourism district. That development plan for the event center also includes the central pond and the entry road, which is part of the common structure in the subdivision that has to be developed before you can actually be using this site for the public. Both parts of the development plan submittal were previously approved identically before annexation by the Area Plan Commission, and I included those docket numbers for your convenience. On the second page, you've kind of got a picture of the current site under construction. You can actually see the convenience store is getting pretty close to completion at this point. You've got the overall site plan here underneath that kind of shows there'll be intense landscaping all the way around as this site comes up to meet the State Road 28 standards, as well as the standards in the planned unit development. There's also, it's a little hard to see because of the scale, but there is pedestrian connectivity across the front of the slot paralleling 28, and then coming down Banderas Drive as it heads back toward the event center. On the third page, you've got the event center site plan, so this is to the rear of the convenience store. And again, scale makes this a little bit tough, but basically, you've got a large event center there, kind of in the middle, labeled. You've got some outdoor arena space. You've got parking for trailers and vehicles that will come in and out. There's drive access to all four sides of that event center. And then there is pedestrian connectivity going along the outside perimeter of that, as well as coming down Banderas Drive to the entrance of the event center. There's landscaping that you can't see it on this one. It's on a different sheet, but I wanted you to be able to see the layout. But there's landscaping that's going in on the I-65 side, around the perimeter of that parking lot on the Banderas Drive side, and there's some foundation landscaping that goes along the building as well. So in terms of the request analysis, there's a lot of moving parts, so I'll try to go through this as quick as I can. So sewer and water are provided by a combination of Clinton County and the city of Frankfurt in their agreement with how that new infrastructure went in. Both the C-store, convenience store, and the event center hook into the technically county utility services, which then feed into Frankfurt Utilities and receive sewer treatment. Eventually, that will all be Frankfurt Utility-owned utilities. And the commissioners have stated on their side that they're okay with the hookup. The City of Frankfurt's sewer and water have also indicated that they're okay with receiving that. The plan shows sewer and water installation that is in compliance with the recorded plat and covenants, the planned unit development, and Frankfurt Utilities. Secondly, the Drainage Board has approved the drainage plan for both these lots and the proposed pond. This infrastructure is already bonded for completion and starting installation in compliance with the Banderas Point Business Park subdivision, Phase 1 and 2 secondary plat. In meetings preliminarily when this was annexed, the city has declined to re-review the drainage since it was already permitted. But when the future phases are done, that may be something that people choose to look at. Soil and Water completed a review of the site plan. So at the time when permits were issued for the things already under construction, this was not yet annexed into the city, so MS4 didn't apply yet. Erosion control plans were included with the subdivision filing, and that secondary plat was recorded 3/25 of 24, as well as bonding and permission to start infrastructure. And then in the future, as these remaining phases come through, they will have to deal with MS4 as they're now annexed. So before permits can be issued, that'll have to be looked at case by case. But right now, everything is in compliance. There is no anticipation from the developer that there's going to be any issues with future MS4 reviews, since the standards for erosion control are very similar between the two programs. This site falls under the State Road 28 overlay, as well as having a few base ordinances such as buffer yards, lighting, parking, loading, and signage that apply to it. And we did a full review of those standards, looking also towards the overall design and avoiding conflicts with the planned unit development plans, because this area is also part of that development. We completed a look at the State Road 28 overlay, and other than the areas of gravel for livestock trailers and waived curbs per the 2 variances received from City BZA March 27th, and that should say of 2024, these development plans appear to comply. The convenience store and the gas station are in the primary tier of the State Road 28 overlay, so they have additional standards in almost all areas of design. The event center building is actually in the secondary tier rather than the primary, so that it does not have architectural standards, although I will note there's a elevation there on that 3rd page, and it's going to be a pretty attractive building on that side that's got the higher visibility. The structure design is approved by the developer, and as such meets the planned unit development and the subdivision covenants as well. Curb cuts for the driveways for the event center come off the private street section of the new road, so they do not need specific governmental approval. INDOT has approved the work being done on the new road and the roundabout, and to that tune, INDOT is also funding $1.5 million to assist in the construction of those improvements. The existing drive and the drive modifications taking place as part of the project have been approved by INDOT. The road has been dedicated as a county road back to the southernmost drive for the gas station, and then that comes across in the annexation. It's named Banderas Drive. And the curb cuts for the convenience store already under construction were approved prior to annexation and made. So pedestrian walkways and sidewalks are included along the perimeter and the roads, which match the subdivision plat and the ordinance requirements. There's also a sidewalk, as previously mentioned, to the event center entrance. Duke is working with the applicant to install the sidewalk through their easement to the far west property line. So we don't have the precise final alignment, but they will allow it as required in the Frankfurt Unified Development Ordinance, the Banderas Point Planned Unit Development, and the Banderas Point subdivision plat. So they just have to make sure they don't put that too close to the posts that support the lines. Buffer yards are shown on the site plan. State Road 28 landscaping is more intense than a regular buffer yard, so there's a lot of plantings there along the front, along State Road 28, along with the berming. Buffer yards are not required within the planned unit development on the back of the C-store lot. because the planned unit development waives buffer yards between their own uses internally. Foundation plantings have been added along the event center, and the planting areas throughout do seem to have the required widths. Lighting, as shown on the plan submitted with the application, is in compliance, except for there's a couple areas in the submitted plans where the foot candles along the property line are still in excess. Specifically, that's along I-65, the cell tower parcel, and the water tower parcel. The applicant is committed to revising those to be in compliance before permits are issued for the event center building. With regards to parking, the convenience store and fueling station meet the standards as proposed. The event center is required to have one parking space for every 3 seats. And in this case, the initial event center is designed to seat about 1,500 people. There's 525 parking spaces. The spaces and lots do meet the standards for size and spacing in Article 3 of the Unified Development Ordinance and the Planned Unit Development. Roughly 2% of the spaces, which is 10 spaces, are ADA accessible right near the entrance in the paved lot. Variance was granted by the BZA for gravel in the parking and staging areas for livestock. It appears those areas will be out of sight of State Road 28, as best as we can tell from the drawings, but the applicant does understand if they turn out to be partially visible, they'll have to add some additional vegetative screening or return to the Board of Zoning Appeals to discuss that. In terms of loading spaces, the convenience store needs 1. It's shown on the back of the store. For the event center, they need at least 2, and those have been shown, 1 on each side, east and west. Commercial structure may have 4 square foot of building mounted signage for each linear foot of building frontage. So this building, the event center has, the event center has 131 towards State Road 28. Nope, I don't think this is the C store. At any rate, for the C store, it would allow 524 square foot of building mounted signage towards State Road 28 and 252 square foot of building mounted toward the new county road. The only building that does have proposed building mounted signage in this development plan is the C store. It has a total of 166 square foot of signage. The event center does not yet have signage locations determined, so that'll have to be looked at when they get to that phase in the game. No special signage is included, as I just mentioned, for the event center. New signage is included in this development request on the C-store, and we just talked about that. That does also include fueling canopy signage and lighting for 2 gas canopies in front of the C-store. There's some BZA conditions about what areas can and cannot be lit that the plans do comply with. And then there is a primary entry sign for the whole planned unit development, which will sit on the gas station convenience store property. And that sign is substantively similar to the main entry sign design in the planned unit development, which specifically allows for some modification by filing an updated plan with the jurisdiction, which is being done with this hearing. Noting, however, that lighting must fully comply with the lighting section of the Unified Development Ordinance, even though there's a picture there of the sign. So Banderas Point has 2 signage exclusions in it that are a little bit larger. One is they have a main sign, which is what this one is, designed to be there at the entry to the roundabout where everything comes into Banderas Drive, which is going to have a whole lot of uses on it, as the 64 acres are developed. And then the other one, which is not included in this, will be signage allowing the event center to advertise events that are occurring there to passerbys on I-65, and that'll come through at some future point. Trash storage and dumpsters will be to the rear of the convenience store property. They're fully screened in compliance with the 28 overlay. There will also be some for the event center, but they will be entirely inside the facility and therefore also fully screened. The Frankfort Fire Department has looked at the plans and confirmed that all the hydrants are appropriately located on appropriately sized water lines. There's also a suitable fire lane designed around the building with adequate support for the weight of the trucks. There will be signage prohibiting parking in the areas of the lane around the building that are needed to be dedicated in case of a fire. So consequently, staff recommends to approve the development plans because they meet the standards of the zoning ordinance with the following conditions. And this is something that I often advise with really detailed plan reviews so that everyone is clear that you're not overstepping either accidentally or intentionally and approving something that doesn't have a variance. But I would recommend the 2 conditions. That first, nothing in the development plan or approval should be construed as the Plan Commission waiving any regulation of the zoning ordinance without BZA approval. The applicant is expected to meet the ordinance in full unless they have obtained a variance. And And then very similarly, that nothing in the plan should be construed as the Plan Commission waiving any regulation in the planned unit development or the subdivision plat and covenants without separate appropriate revisions or approvals to those documents. So it's just a catch-all, so that if something that hasn't been flagged happens to be buried in those plans that turns out in the permitting reviews not to match, the developer clearly understands that the Plan Commission did not intend to tell them they could do something that didn't meet the ordinance. It was just a lot of volume. And they are expected to meet it or go through the proper process to get an approval if they turn out to have something buried in there that got missed. And I think that concludes my staff report. I apologize for the length.
Well, there's a lot to it, so a lot of length is good in this case. 2 points of clarification. Of course, we had our hearing on the rezoning of this land to PUD in March, and I just confirmed City Council did approve it in the part of their meeting prior to us being in the room, right?
That is correct.
Because we can't take this action unless that has been approved and.
Absolutely, and I would definitely would not recommend approving if it hadn't
And
been
again,
done.
this is just part of the overall PUD. This is phase 1, which is
Correct.
basically the truck stop and the event center.
It's phase 2. Yep, so the way they have it labeled, the convenience store and the gas station and the truck stop there at the front, that's phase 1. And then your event center is phase 2, and then the campground will be phase 3, and the retail village and hotel area at the front will be phase 4. And those 2 phases, there's nothing included in.
So we're approving phase 1 and phase 2 today? then?
Correct. The 2 that were already approved and already have partial permitting and are moving forward. Hopefully later in 2024, we'll start to have plans for phase 3, and those won't be such a rush. They'll go through what will feel like a more routine review process because city plan will be the first board looking at them as opposed to these where we're just trying to help the developer be in the same place they were before the annexation took place so they can continue moving forward with confidence
You know,
from where they
we're
were
kind of
at.
catching up where they were with the county.
Correct.
That's
ATC.
exactly what this does, is
Pretty
it puts
much.
them back in the same position they were in before annexation.
So since this is a public hearing, is there any public comments in the audience before we close the public hearing part of the meeting? Anyone can comment on any relevant topic regarding,
Mark, is there any, maybe you gave it out and I didn't see it. Is there an estimated timeline on all this?
we'll turn it over.
Liz?
So if you want to get too far into details, Ben may be the person, but there is a timeline included in the planned unit development. It's part of the requirements for what they have to submit. And it is estimated because it's hard to, predict the future. But in general, when you look through the phasing and the schedule in the adopted planned unit development, part of this is in the past, so I'm going to leave that, behind as we move through 2024. We're right now in, I believe, quarter 2 of 2024. So right now, they're working on beginning the common area infrastructure, which they hope to have materially installed and completed before they move into quarter 3. Construction of the new convenience store is nearing completion, which they're right on target with that. Finalizing engineering of the RV campground, which my understanding is they're getting close on that. Installation of common area infrastructure shall be underway, so they've gotten their approvals for that, and they're starting on it. And then hoping to start construction of the event center late quarter 3. So as you get into quarter 3, you've got ongoing construction of utility mains and infrastructure, hoping to have a groundbreaking on the RV campground toward fall, starting to put in laterals and connections, extension of the driveway as part of the north-south as they start to get access, ongoing construction of the event center and construction of drives, parking, and landscaping associated with the event center. And then you get into 2025, where as you go through 2025, they're hoping to complete their installation of their common infrastructure, get the equestrian center and expo hall open by mid-2025, have the campground opening as they get toward late 2025, beginning of 2026. And then they've got some market feasibility studies and things as they look towards beginning to put in hotel space. So you're probably still looking at a few years before this development is fully built out. But I believe the hope is to have the event center moving in the next year. Does that help?
Yeah.
Yeah, and if the way the plan unit development ordinance works is if the developer were to say, walk away, and 2 years from now, we're all like, well, nothing happened, then the ordinance does lay out how the city and the county both, in this case, would go about removing that planned unit development so that it could move forward as development as something else. But, so there is a process for that if nothing's moving forward, but we don't anticipate that with this development.
Does the sign height require a variance, or has it already been
No,
received?
because the planned unit development can write itself in and out of specific standards of the base ordinances.
Higher then.
Yes, so in this case, they have a specific unified sign plan where the signage throughout their whole development has to follow certain looks and feels and standards. And among those things, they've allowed themselves to have a little bit taller height
So in this case, we kind of grant the sign variance.
as part of the planned unit
as part of the
development.
PUD, which normally is not the case.
Basically, you adopted a text amendment to your unified development ordinance specific only to this development that said it can be, I think in this case, 3 foot taller than what
So
the
across the road,
base
the final,
would be.
similar sign had to be a lot shorter unless it's similar process.
3 foot shorter and yeah, a little bit smaller, unless they went through a similar planned unit development, which I think you're going to see some more planned unit developments in and around the interchange as time goes on. You've got the same developer owning several of those other quadrants, and I think they do hope to have compatible looks and feel over time, but the goal is to get through the first one first.
Is there any comments from the audience, since this is a public hearing? Is there any more questions from the Plan Commission members of anybody? Probably should officially close the public hearing. I did not hear anyone saying they wanted to say anything, so. Okay, any discussion amongst the Plan Commission members, or any additional questions for staff?
When you asked about that sign, it doesn't have to be in the regulations based on the height or the square footage because of the PUD.
The PUD overrides normal normal height standards. I believe I said that correctly.
In this case, relative to the entry sign only, yes. Now, they did not write themselves out of all the internal signage being taller. It's just that entry sign, and kind of driven by the fact that with 64 acres, and by the time you get the retail village in, numerous uses needing to be able to actually not have 400 signs poking up in the air, but to have something that everybody could see what was happening in one place.
Any more questions among the members? Megan? See you shaking your head. You're okay.
Yep, we're okay, no questions.
I will entertain for a motion then to.
I'll make the motion to, whatever the appropriate motion
the
is.
development plan.
Right. Approve the development plan as presented. Yep.
There's 2 conditions in it.
You might want to refer the 2 conditions either by adopting those in the staff report by reference or by separately stating them.
Do we need to reference any kind of findings?
So a development plan is more like a subdivision, and that state law says if it meets the standards, you must approve. If it does not meet the standards, you must not approve. So there's not, your finding is pretty much singular, that you find that it meets the standards.
They may have that minutes reflect that explanation. So we have a motion.
And Mike, just to clarify, your motion is with the conditions that are outlined in the staff report, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
I think we still need a second, I believe. Any discussion on the motion before we have a vote? There being none, let's have a roll call vote, please.
Mike Nichols,
Aye.
Larry Mosier,
Aye.
Megan Sheets,
Aye.
Isaac Chavez.
Aye.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Joseph Bookwalter,
Aye.
Mark Mills.
Aye.
And then just for the record, there was publication, correct, Miranda?
Correct. That was in the Frankfurt Times, March 27th, 2024.
So do we have any other business that cannot otherwise be postponed till our regular meeting?
No other business. I do want to remind the committee that we'll be meeting this coming week on the Chapter 7 and making some adjustments there. And then tonight, I've been informed that we'll need to look at the signage
Political
for
signs.
the political people and the amount of days that they're allowed to be out. So we'll discuss that next week also.
That's 4/16. Is that right?
What's the date?
Yeah, Yes, at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, and who are the members?
It is Mike, it is Joseph, and it is you.
So if we happen to get any more members at that meeting, we would have to, it'd officially become a meeting, so we'd have to limit it just to the 3. Otherwise, we'll jump into an official plan commission meeting, so
That is on the 16th or the 17th?
16th, which is next
Tuesday.
correct? At what time? 10 o'clock. Okay, so there being no other business, I can't wait. We will have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Isaac?
Second.
Okay, all in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
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 Good work, fellas. And ladies.
Alrighty, now it's
All right.
swap that.
Yep.
I think you're done.
I wish.
Well, you're done swapping.
Hope you get home by midnight.
Hey, I think we'll make it happen.
It's not gonna be that bad.
Things going along.
All right, Joe, we couldn't have set that up.
My record is 1:30.
Later. I tried.
We go until 1:30 in the morning. I'm gonna fall asleep. There is no way I will stay.
Yeah, we're all gonna have shoulders lean on each
James'
other.
record, I think, is probably 12:30.
Probably.
Ask them all about the Flower Mill Bakery hearing.
I don't know why people are so upset about it. It's delicious.
I didn't hear about it.
Alrighty. I'm glad that's done. Take that off my shoulders. You get a nice little nap out there? Get a nice little nap out there? Yeah, there you go.
What are we gonna do?
Or not.
Did you order pizzas?
Hopefully.
Not ready to.
No.
I told Scott that's his job. Pizzas. Pizzas. Did you order the pizzas? Promotion business.
Out of your guys' office.
Okay, so they closed their meeting, so am I just reopening?
Yeah.
We're recessing.
Order me
so
to
you're
ask for more
coming
money.
out of the recess.
Okay.
And thank you for letting that happen because now we're good with Van Point.
We are just squared away.
We are.
Okay, did I tell the time when we recessed?
7:26.
Okay, okay.
We let Scott order pizzas, he's just gonna ask for more funding.
Okay, now since we're back from the recess, I'm going to go ahead and open the council meeting back at 7:59. And where were we? Okay, we got all the public, okay, now, I'm going to recess the council meeting again at 8:00 PM. And this is for a public hearing on ordinance number 24-07. So do we want to discuss this now, or do you want to wait till we actually introduce the ordinance? Can you tell us a brief what this is?
Yes, this is an additional appropriation to equip 2 new police officers with the new hire equipment that they need to do their job. It's uniforms and other equipment. And then also boiler replacement in Old Stony for $38,000. And I have attached the proposal from Chief Shoemaker as well as the quote for the equipment repair at Old Stony.
And the reason why I think this did not get put in the budget is because we didn't even know we were going to get those 2 new officers until, what was it, late October, November, after we'd already were in the budget process. Also, the repair to the boiler was something unexpected for Old Stony, but in order for people to have heat in the building, because many offices were without heat for quite some time, that was $38,000, and that there's still more work to be done. So it's my understanding that work was not done at the time of the renovation of Old Stony, so we're dealing with it now. Okay, is there any other comments? Okay, I will go ahead and close the public hearing at 8:01 and reopen the council meeting.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to read ordinance 2407 by title only.
Second.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Isaac Chavez.
Aye.
John Large.
Aye.
Megan Sheets.
Aye.
Robert Stevens.
Aye.
Clarence Worthen.
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Additional appropriation ordinance number 2407.
I'll now move to pass ordinance 2407 on first reading.
I'll second it.
I heard Mr. Large.
Roll call.
Isaac Chavez.
Aye.
John Large.
Aye.
Megan Sheets.
Aye.
Robert Stevens.
Aye.
Clarence Worthen.
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Okay, ordinance number 24-07 passes on first reading. Next on the agenda, we have a public hearing on ordinance number 24-08. So I will recess the council meeting at 8:02 and open the public hearing.
Would you like me to speak to
Would you please?
this? So ordinance number 2408 is for funds to be added to MVH restricted, $25,000, which is an estimate for the additional paving off of Walnut Avenue in front of Affordable Muffler. That is an area that won't qualify for our CCMG grant. Is that correct, Mr. Forsythe? So we will have to fund that. It will never get on the CCMG list. And the Domino's Alley, which was paved last year, that invoice was not received. Although we did have the funds in MVH, they are in there but unspent, but we'll have to reappropriate them in order to pay for that invoice. There's also FEMA reimbursement funds, which were received by the street department for the tornado heavy storm in March of '23. We applied for that reimbursement, received it. We do have to appropriate that in order to spend it. And then also, my office, the clerk treasurer's office, is requesting additional funds to create a full-time position out of a part-time position. I have attached information for most of those items to the additional appropriation ordinance, so hopefully you got a chance to look at that. If you have any questions about any of it, either Jason or myself would be glad to answer them.
Is there any comments or questions? Okay, I will close the public hearing at 8:04 and reopen the council meeting. On the agenda next is ordinance number 24-08 on first reading.
Move to read ordinance 2408 on first, by title only.
Who was this? Robert? Thank you. Ready for roll call?
Yes, please.
Isaac Chavez.
Aye.
John Large.
Aye.
Megan Sheets.
Aye.
Robert Stevens.
Aye.
Clarence Worthen.
Aye.
Eric Woods. Additional appropriation ordinance number 24-08.
You can either pass this on first and second, since we had the public hearing, or just pass it on first reading tonight.
Mayor, I think with Councilman Beardsley gone, we can't do that.
Oh, we can't?
It's all of, it has to be unanimous with the members present, I believe, but it's okay to go ahead and just do it on first reading to be sure, because I'd have to check the statute.
I think Les determined that it was everyone.
I'd trust Les's judgment.
Okay. Do I have a motion for pass the ordinance, first reading?
I'll make the motion. We approve ordinance number 24-08 on first reading.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Isaac Chavez.
Aye.
John Large.
Aye.
Megan Sheets.
Aye.
Robert Stevens.
Aye.
Clarence Worthen.
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have ordinance number 24-11. And this is on first reading, and it has not been published yet, so we will not have a public hearing tonight. That will be at the next meeting. Have a motion to read it by title only.
I make the motion, we read ordinance 24-11 by title only.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Isaac Chavez.
Aye.
John Large.
Aye.
Megan Sheets.
Aye.
Robert Stevens. Clarence Worthen.
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Additional appropriation ordinance number 24-11.
Do you want to tell us about that a little bit?
This is additional funds being requested for community development. There were a couple of situations with the vendor lost a check, and also there was a refund involved, and it was lost. I'm sorry, Kimberly, would you, my mind is going blank here. I didn't make very good notes. I'll have Kimberly address this.
So the first was the check. It was sent in 2023. Towards the end of the year, they did not receive it. So we did a stop check order and reissued the check in 24. And then also there was a refund. I was going to go to a training, and that did not happen. So they refunded us that check.
So the funds were never spent out of the budget. We just had situations that we lost the ability to spend the money out of the 23 budget. And so it's putting extra emphasis on the 24 budget to get these things paid for.
So we kept the money from last year and we're reappropriating that money?
It was, yes, it was never actually spent because of the two situations she described.
Yeah,
Okay.
there was a check written.
So
it
the
was
funds were
lost.
still there.
Okay.
They just were never
So we're not
spent.
really creating more,
No.
No, it's not additional expenses. It's just money that we can no longer
Yeah.
access in the 23 budget.
okay. I move we,
Carol, can you?
What?
I was gonna say, Carol, can you, this one also includes
The railroad invoices. Yes. The railroad had a couple of invoices related to the Washington Avenue Phase 2 project that we never received. And they have been getting a little feisty with Mr. Forsyth about getting them paid. So we checked, double checked, and triple checked to make sure that these funds were never sent to them. And obviously, these are from 21 and 22, and we no longer have access to anything in those budgets. So again, we need to reappropriate these funds to spend them.
I'll make the motion. We approve ordinance number 2411 on first reading.
second.
Roll call, please.
Isaac Chavez,
Aye.
John Large,
Aye.
Megan Sheets,
Aye.
Robert Stevens, Clarence Worthen,
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Okay, ordinance number 24-11 passes on first reading. Next, we have ordinance number 24-12, and this is on first reading.
I'll move to pass ordinance 24-12
Read it.
by title only.
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Isaac Chavez,
Aye.
John Large,
Aye.
Megan Sheets,
Aye.
Robert Stevens,
Aye.
Clarence Worthen,
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
City of Frankfort Common Council Ordinance Number 24-12, an ordinance amending and restating Ordinance Number 24-05, setting the salaries and hourly wages for employees of the civil city of Frankfort, Indiana.
Is that a change?
This is a change due to my request for the part-time to full-time position. That is the only change on here. And I would like to ask the council to consider doing this in 2 readings so that I could go ahead and get that position hired. We haven't had anyone in that spot for several weeks now, and we're getting a little backlogged on some things. So I would appreciate your consideration.
I did check the ordinance and we can do it. It's by a unanimous vote with not less than a majority of the members present and voting.
I stand corrected.
So we can go ahead with that if you want.
So if we wanted to do first and second on this.
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, if you want to do first and second on this, you can. It's up to you. I think that's what Carol has requested.
Thank you.
So do we have to suspend the rules?
If you want to pass it on first and second tonight, yes.
Okay, I'll make a motion, we suspend the rules and pass this ordinance on first and second reading.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Isaac Chavez.
Aye.
John Large.
Aye.
Megan Sheets.
Aye.
Robert Stevens. Clarence Worthen.
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Okay, now I need a motion to pass it on first and second.
Yeah, I'll make a motion, we pass it on first and second reading.
You get that?
Yes.
Okay, roll call, please.
Isaac Chavez.
Aye.
John Large.
Aye.
Megan Sheets.
Aye.
Robert Stevens.
Aye.
Clarence Worthen.
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Okay, ordinance number 24-12 passes on first and second.
Thank you all.
Okay, next, it's not on the agenda, but I think everyone has a copy of this resolution 24-05, and it's a resolution directing transfer of appropriated funds. Did you want to speak on it, Scott, or you want me to, or you want to?
Is this for the pension?
Yes.
Yeah, last year you made a transfer. Yeah, I don't know, I'm good. Thanks. Last year you made a transfer late in the year for me to pay for medical testing for the 3 new officers that we hired in December. Ascension never invoiced us until January, nor could they provide me a quote to encumber the money. So we never spent that. So now we're just asking, because we had to pay for 3 officers out of that line in January for almost $5,000. I don't have the funds in there for the 2 new officers that we're hiring this month. And so I'm asking to transfer some from the pension line because we won't need it up there.
I'll move to pass resolution 2405.
I'd second that.
Roll call, please.
Isaac Chavez.
Aye.
John Large.
Aye.
Megan Sheets.
Aye.
Robert Stevens.
Aye.
Clarence Worthen.
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Okay, resolution 24-05 passes. Next on the agenda, we have old business. Does anyone have anything they'd like to bring up? If not, we'll move on to new business, and we have an opioid presentation by Laura Archibald. I guess task force, what do we call her? Settlement committee has been meeting to see how we would like to spend our funds. Do you have the amounts in your presentation, or do you?
I included it in your packet.
Okay.
Here's a copy.
Thank you.
Okay, so as of March 6th, in our opioid funds, we have $25,985.68. I guess that's $318. And in our restricted funds, $66,244.89. What she's going to talk to us tonight about is what the committee has come up with for our restricted funds. We would still have the unspent funds for the unrestricted.
So as you know, the opioid settlement committee has been meeting now for a couple of years. And we did get an influx of a new settlement in addition to the original settlement, the second payment. And so the opioid settlement committee decided that we really needed to develop an application for these funds moving forward. So an application was developed and distributed. We did decide to make that a rolling basis so that people can apply for that money at any time. And then after talking to the mayor and to the commissioners, decided that we would just present twice a year to the councils so that it's not a burden on the councils. So 5 applications were received prior to this first review, and all the applications were recommended for at least partial funding. Funding recommendation came in at $50,330 for the city. What I've included here in your packet is the 5 applying agencies were the Frankfort Police Department, First Responders, which is a joint application from 5 different entities of first responders, 180 Recovery Resources, Clinton County EMS on their own, and We Care Recovery. I provided a brief summary from each applying agency, and we'll just kind of go to those. The first one is from Frankfort Police Department, and that is for a drug incinerator. They have had to kind of stop taking in drop-off medications from people, plus they have a backlog of evidence that they've collected of medications, and they would like to purchase an incinerator to be able to destroy those medications and also add a drug take-back box at the Healthy Community Clinton County Health Department location. The Clinton County Health Department is willing to do an in-kind contribution of $3,000 to this project. So they are asking for a funding request of $4,160. The nice thing about this, it also will cut some cost out of document destroying as well. So it will help multiple line items for both the city and the county. So the funding request for that is $4,160 total, with the request of $2,080 from the city. The first responder request is a joint request from Central Dispatch, Clinton County EMS, the Sheriff's Department, Frankfort Police Department, and the Frankfort Fire Department. And this is $10,000 for each one of those. And what that is for mental health providers for individual therapy and critical incident debriefs for first responders. That is covered under an approved core abatement strategy, which is first responder wellness support services. We have to take care of our first responders who are responding to all of the overdoses in our community. And so this would be $10,000 for each one of those departments. And we're requesting $20,000 from the city because that would cover the Frankfort Police Department and the Frankfort Fire Department. So that would be the $20,000 from the city. The next one is 180 Recovery Resources. As you probably already know, they are getting ready to double their from capacity from 16 beds to 32 beds. In that they will, they have a construction grant that covers all of the building of that, but they don't have a grant that covers supply and programming costs. So they're asking that whole project costs $435,000, $425,000 of that being construction. They're requesting $10,000 for programming and supplies. And we are recommending $5,000 of that coming from the city and $5,000 from the county. Clinton County EMS, they're asking for $16,500 for a mechanical ventilator. That actually falls under 2 different approved core abatement strategies. He presented really great evidence that most of the calls that they use mechanical ventilation on, it was like 80% are related to either accidental or incidental overdoses. And so this would be used a lot for overdoses, plus for training for their paramedic program. And that also, first responder education is one of the approved core abatement strategies. We know that even though it is Clinton County EMS, they do respond to the city as well as the county. And actually, most of their overdose calls are in the city of Frankfort, city limits, actually the large majority. So felt like it was fair to ask that be a 50-50 split between the city and county. The total project cost is $16,500. So splitting that would be $8,250 from the city and the same from the county. And then We Care Recovery Home, they have asked, they had a project, and theirs is also about mental health services. Their total project is $86,250 with a $22,500 in kind. They asked for a total of $63,750. The committee did recommend just a partial funding on this, and the reason why is that we had some questions about sustainability and billable services, and so we're going to ask that We Care come and present to the committee before we recommend for any further funding. But we did recommend partial funding at $30,000 with $15,000 of that from the city and $15,000 of that from the county. So that was all of the requests that we had, and I'm leaving these with you so you can see them in further detail. If anyone wants the entire applications, we can forward those to you. But this is kind of a nice summary of what the requests were for, what approved core abatement strategies they were for, the attended outcome and goals, and what the budgets were for. So if approved, the next steps would be that they would sign the agreements with the cities like we did with the city like we did before. The approved agency would be required to submit data to Healthy Communities upon request, and then we would help the city with all the required reports to DMHA like we did prior. Is there any questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
This is from the opioid settlement money.
Correct.
Do we have enough money to cover all this?
Yes, we do.
Just a second.
Clarence, you should have that in your packet.
So right now, we're talking only about the restricted. And at this time, we have $66,244.89. And I don't know what that equaled for all of that you had for this
So
city.
for the city, it equaled
51.
50, yeah.
51,330, okay. Now, we do continue to get funds throughout the
Yes.
year. I don't know if there's any specific time, is there, that they?
No, it just depends
for
when the
some-
settlements come in. So we still will have the original settlement payment that will come again in the fall. But there's also one more large settlement that should be coming again. They were saying May, June as a timeline. So, but it's very interesting that money amount changes like constantly. There's no rhyme or reason to it. I don't understand it. I don't know if they have it in some kind of fund that changes. I don't understand that. It doesn't go down unless we spend it, but, we constantly, that money changes literally from week to week sometimes. And then there are still remaining settlements out there that are expected to be coming in.
Okay, now you're saying this is from the unrestricted funds or the restricted?
Restricted.
Restricted funds.
You can spend out of whichever fund that you want, but I would recommend that because these all are from the approved core abatement strategies.
Yes.
I would recommend that you spend them out of the approved.
Yeah, okay.
And the
Restricted.
unrestricted last year, that was just a council decision that we did on
Yeah.
this. This is a recommendation from the committee that has been set up.
Yes.
And we have representatives from the police department, sheriff's department, I'm on that committee, probation, EMS.
Corrections, EMS,
Got quite a committee on remember.
Inwell.
Yeah, so we formed this committee, we get together, and I think we've met, 2 or 3 times on this.
Yeah.
And then prioritize, we ask for people to turn in applications. This is currently the applications.
Okay.
I don't think we turned anybody down, did we? I think everybody that
We did
applied.
full or partial to
Yeah,
everyone.
just the partial, yeah. And then I can't remember, Carol, does that have to be appropriated or can you just pay it straight out of the opioid funds?
We can pay it out of the
Okay.
opioid funds.
Okay.
Yep.
So once you make the decision what you want to do, we can pay it out of the, and we have two different funds. If you, I don't know, did they get a fund report?
Yes.
Okay. If you look, we have a fund report that shows how much is in restricted and how much is in,
So how much is all this together?
for the city, for the city side is $51,330.
I think it's 50,330.
What'd you get?
I got 5330.
He got 50.
I think it's 50,330.
Did you add $1,000, John?
I may have. Car dealer. I try to get it all.
Your roots are showing, John.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, bad math on that.
50,000.
50,000.
Yeah.
330.
So that still leaves us some in the restricted, and we will continue to get funding. And so it's worked really well because we all get together and work together and figure out what we think is most important in our community. I can't even think of what we used it for the last time, but for the vaping sensors and what did we use it for
Really,
last year?
all the major organizations minus Healthy Communities have applied.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
And last year, we did our unrestricted, we gave half to We Care and half to 180. But this committee does not take into consideration any of the unrestricted funds, so.
Okay.
and if someone came with requests past the restricted funds, we could make a recommendation that you consider unrestricted funds, but that would be up to you, obviously.
Okay.
So.
I just wanted to make sure we had the money to do it.
You do, and,
yeah.
and more money is coming, so
I forget what we're.
for 28 more
Yeah.
years, you have money
Yeah,
coming.
28 years, and I forget what the projected amount is, but that's
Yeah.
going to go on for some time, so. And it is to be used for opioid
Right,
related.
right. I understood that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's part of the responsibility of the opioid settlement committee is to make sure that those restricted funds are meeting those core abatement strategies, so.
Well, I think a lot of time went into this, a lot of effort, so given that, I'd make a recommendation to accept the opioid committee's recommendation.
I'll second that.
Did you get that?
Yep.
Okay, roll call, please.
Isaac Chavez. John Large.
Aye.
Megan Sheets.
Aye.
Robert Stevens. Clarence Worthen.
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Okay, and then Laura will work with you on getting all this figured out on the applications and how they receive it.
And reporting, just let me
Yeah,
know when you
okay.
get notification and I'll do it like I did before.
Okay.
Now, have you been to the county yet? I don't know. Haven't
No,
spoken
I
to
go
them.
back later this
Okay,
month, so.
okay.
Yep.
So until, I guess we hear whether or not we can go through with it.
Yeah, so, thank you.
Thank you. Sorry it took so long. Okay, City Plan Commission recommendation. That's what we already did? Do you have anything else?
We'll come back when we're ready to come back.
That was a good one. Okay, next we have a CF1 for Goodwill. And I believe we just got those this evening, right? Is that right?
You have the paper copy. I did email it over the weekend. They sent it in late on Friday.
It does look like they're staying within what they said they would do. Yeah. Anybody have any questions, concerns, or? It looks like they're in compliance.
I'll make the motion, we approve the CF1 submitted by Goodwill Industries.
Roll call, please.
Isaac Chavez.
Aye.
John Large,
Aye.
Megan Sheets,
Aye.
Robert Stevens, Clarence Worthen,
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Okay, the CF1 is approved. Does anyone have anything else? Thank you for your patience and the long meeting. It was, first time I've ever done this, so. Okay, I'll take the motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Sorry, who moved?
Isaac.
Isaac and
Eric
Eric
says-
was second.